but the personality of the chairman of the National Assembly House Committee on ATM, Honorable Amobi Ogah.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin by commending and congratulating the golden DG of Naca, my own sister, Dr. Temitope Ilori, and our partners for organizing this very important retreat for members of Nigerian Parliament with the theme Leadership for the Sustainability of HIV Response and the Role of Legislature. I recall with nostalgia last year during the celebration of World AIDS Day, Naca came up with the theme Communities Leadership to End AIDS by 2030. When these leaders across all levels, whether in government, private sector, civil society, faith-based, religious and traditional, were challenged to take the lead in the fight against HIV/AIDS in Nigeria. We therefore, as leaders, must all step up, roll our sleeves, and begin to walk the talk of ending HIV/AIDS by 2030. To achieve this, the leadership at all levels must own and sustain national HIV response towards ending HIV/AIDS by 2030. However, since the theme of this retreat is focusing on the role of the legislature in sustaining the HIV response in Nigeria, there is still much work to be done. For a start, the convening of this retreat is a right step in the right direction in ensuring an effective and sustained legislative response to fight against HIV in Nigeria. I have always argued that parliamentarians, as representatives of the people, must be carried along during programs, conceptualization, and formulation to ensure ownership and enlightenment at the communities. If there are no engagements and interface between Naca and the legislature, we are likely to work at cross purposes. Before now, the only time there is a semblance of engagement is during the budget process. And after that, nothing is heard from most MDAs. It is no rocket science that if we know what your concern or challenges are, then we will be in a better position to appreciate these concerns and to make necessary budgetary provisions to address them. The legislature, as a representatives of our communities, will continue to provide a strong leadership that will engender robust and sustained HIV response in Nigeria through collaboration and partnership with the relevant stakeholders to achieve the goal of eliminating HIV/AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. For this to be realized, funding is critical, as estimated $8 billion is needed annually to sustain the fight against HIV and AIDS. The House Committee on ATM, we have come here to look for the pin. And that pin is how to get money and solve this trouble. Have always advocated that government must take the lead in the fight against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, leprosy, and malaria control by providing the needed funds to drive the process of ending this disease by year 2030. The committee is proposing that 1% from the consolidated revenue be dedicated to fight against these diseases. This will reduce our overdependence on foreign grants and donor agencies. We also recommend that Naca be restructured to a multi-sector agency to manage these resources. We will continue to provide legislation that promotes comprehensive health care, support research, and ensure access to quality treatment, and strengthen partnerships that are crucial to our collective success. We will double up our oversight function with a view to ensure that funds budgeted for HIV/AIDS response are used for the purpose for which they are meant. We will also continue to advocate that it should be no longer business as usual, and that government money must be spent judiciously for the benefit of all Nigerians. We will also insist that every kobo spent must be accounted for, thereby engendering a zero tolerance for corruption and promoting transparency and accountability in our processes. We are determined to do things different so as to avoid past mistakes and chart a new course for our dear nation and the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Another key aspect in the role of leadership, legislature, in sustaining and strengthening HIV response in Nigeria is capacity building. The legislature should not show too much pride by stating that we don't know it all, particularly in matters outside our purview. Hence, the need for capacity building retreats and workshops like this one, where we presented with current issues that are germane to the fight against HIV and AIDS. We also call for more partnership and collaboration in sponsoring the legislature to attend global conferences such as international conferences on HIV and sexually transmitted infections in Africa, International AIDS Society Conference, and other notable AIDS conferences to keep them abreast with global best practices and innovative strategies in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Finally, another area of concern to the legislature and indeed the members of this great committee on ATM is the stigma and discrimination faced by communities of persons living with HIV. And I want to pledge our resolve and commitment to ensure zero tolerance to stigma and discrimination of those living with HIV. We will revisit the HIV/AIDS anti-discrimination bill, which penalizes any employer, individual, or organization that requires HIV testing as a precondition for employment with a view to compelling enforcement by the relevant agencies. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my belief this retreat will open a new frontiers of opportunity for effective and robust legislative leadership for sustained HIV response in Nigeria, thereby realizing the vision of HIV/AIDS-free generation for our children and the future. I bring you warm greetings from His Excellency, my boss, our leader, the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, the Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, who has asked me to wish you all a wonderful and rewarding retreat. And on his behalf and members of this great committee, I hereby declare this retreat open to the glory of God. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and may God bless Madam DG Naca and all our partners. Thank you.
there's going to be a slight change in the agenda. Instead of moving on to presentation.